the only one the chairs fell on. Yeah, but it's somebody else chair. Okay.
Quick question, Bill.
Yes?
Password for the Wi-Fi?
Apple Access,
Apple Access?
all lowercase.
How do you spell it?
I find it's easier. I was fine when I left the house. All of a sudden, my head's clogged up, and I'm coughing and sneezing and hacking. So you're just going to have to deal with it. All right. Has everybody got the Wi-Fi they want?
And I'll take that out of the way for just a second.
No,
And we'll get the agenda up there.
This is meeting
Yep.
280.
283. People take notes. I should just make up the numbers. You know, it's like, oh, this is meeting 512.
Oh, really?
And then next month it's meeting 1038. Make them think that we've gone through a time warp. I'm just giving out a little bit of time, letting Candy have time that she can get her coat off and seated. Same thing with Kathy in the back.
Cold one this morning.
Yes, it was cold. Winter is coming.
That's 23.
Winter is here.
All right, are you ready? Good morning. Good morning. Okay, I heard good energy. We're ready to go. All right, welcome to meeting number 283 of TMG, the Mac Group. Guillermo, do we have any visitors today? Not so far. And I'm looking at the crowd and I recognize all the faces, so we have no visitors today. Do we have anybody of note that we need to say something good about? You know, like they actually paid us money as opposed to, you know, bouncing a check or something. Okay.
Bitcoin?
No, we do.
We're taking a Bitcoin.
Okay. Now, they continuously tell me, this being our leadership team, that I need to keep it simple and do everyday topics. So whenever I talk about cryptocurrencies, they go, no, Bill, you're not going to talk about cryptocurrency. And when I talk about running Linux on a Macintosh, they say, no, Bill, don't show them Linux on a Macintosh. And when I say, well, what about retro computing, how you can put a USB flash drive connected to an Apple II, which is using a modem link to a Commodore 64, they again say, no, Bill. They don't want to know that. Keep current and simple, everyday how-to topics. So with that said, no cryptocurrency. All right, so, news. I've got a little item I want to show you. This is more of a tip or tidbit type thing. So let me just get this out of the way. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. Okay. If you're setting up an email account, sometimes the program asks you for what server address to use, and should you be using SSL, should it be on or off, all these different technical things, and you have no clue what it is. Well, on the Apple website, there's a lovely little, wrong one. On the Apple website, in support, why am I not connected to the what the heck?
Sign in.
Does anybody know the password?
Okay. That's people that were falling down. Once again, I hit the wrong one. Okay, I'm supposed to be more cogent this month because I'm not on painkillers. Okay, so anyway, there's this place on the Apple website. It's called Mail Settings Lookup. So you go to that thing, and I'll give you the URL in a minute. And what you do is you just type in the email address that you want to know what the settings are. So in this case, I'm going to use, we'll use Herrick at AOL.com. Or let's say it could be a Gmail, or it could be a Juno account, it could be a Yahoo account. And then you press return, and then they come up with this nice little thing where it tells you what the incoming mail server should be, and what the outgoing mail server should be. So if I do Herrick at woh.rr.com. So now it's showing me the email settings, incoming and outgoing server settings for a Roadrunner account. Okay. Now, this is a nice little resource to have. So, let's go over here. This is a PDF where it shows, the examples of what sort of information it creates for you. So, what the server name would be, what port number you're using, whether you need to use a password or password authentication or not, and whether to use SSL, TSL. Okay. All right. And then last but not least, here we go. So it's called the Mail Settings Lookup page. Need to verify your email settings, and the URL is https://www.apple/support/ and now we get to the stuff that's actually important, mail-settings-lookup.
I'll put that in our support page.
You want me to send it to you? And you can.
I'll
So
update our
Mark will
webpage.
send it out to you. Now,
Okay.
I want to show you one other thing. So this is a nice resource to have. So just to show you one other little trick or tip or technique here. Let me say save. I'm just trying to get text editor quick here for me. Okay. So I had those 3 files that I just showed you. One was an RTF file, one's a PDF, and one's a bookmark, a favorite that's saved on the desktop. Now, I'm going to send them to Mark. Now, normally you would create a folder and put them into a folder. Well, something that's been in there, in the operating system since El Capitan, is you have several files selected, and you're in Finder, and you go up to the Finder window, and you go to File. There's this little setting here that says New Folder with Selection 3 Items. In other words, if I click that, it takes the 3 items, creates a folder, puts it in the folder, and then the only thing I have to do is name it. And so this is going to be Apple Mail Settings. Okay. So now I've got a folder that's got those 3 things in it. I click on that. Let's see, where's my share here?
Could that have been used the other day?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll just fire up the email program real quick here. Alrighty. Click on the thing, say, hey, I want to do a new email. And we're going to go to the ambassador, tmgdayton.org, Apple Mail Settings Lookup. Okay, now I want to attach the folder to the email, so I look for my paper clip. Click on the paper clip, it says where is it? It's on my desktop. Click on that folder, click choose it. It attaches the folder. It also usually will compress it, and then I just go ahead and say, hey, send it. And it does the little zoop zoop sound, and off we go. If you don't use the Apple Mail program, you can still attach that folder when you're doing webmail. You just look for the paperclip and save it. It's not anything special that you have to do. Oh, well,
It didn't go out.
yeah, I know.
Does Apple Mail have a size limit for the files?
Those are all teeny tiny files. There's another thing you can do in Apple Mail if you've got really big things you're sending. They basically get put up into iCloud. They get an email that says that there's stuff for them. When they click on the link, they can bring it in from your iCloud storage. So, just come over here and say, you know what, we'll get it later. Quick mail, I'll send it when I'm not quite sure what's going on with our internet access. Yeah, okay, oh well. Okay, so I thought that instead of just doing news, I'd show you a little tip and technique. So you've just got two things. One, you don't have to create a folder and drag things in it. You can actually select the items, go to your File menu in Finder and say, hey, new folder with the things that I selected. Okay. And then the other thing is, if you're doing email settings, like you're using Thunderbird, you're using an email client program, Thunderbird, Outlook, something like that, and you don't know what all those fiddling little details are, you can go to the Apple website, and for most email services, they'll give you what the settings are. This comes in very handy when you're doing something like Time Warner Mail or AT&T Mail, because they don't update their little help cheat sheets to give you the new settings. And they change them periodically. And you're going to find that over the next couple months with AOL and Yahoo. They now belong to Verizon, and they're merging those things together, so they'll be consolidating servers. The settings will change.
Who's becoming part of Verizon again?
Yahoo belongs to Verizon, and AOL belongs to Verizon.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, and let's see, going on to new items. And I'm going to rely on Rick to keep me honest here. Apple announced a few new devices, not new, but rather new models and upgrades of devices. Well, I count the watch as one. Okay. The MacBook Air is 2, and then the new iPads. And then the Mac Mini reduced it. We're up to 4, and then there was a new pencil
And
and a new HomePod. They did some stuff with the HomePod.
they brought out the XR and the phone.
Yeah, and a new phone. So it's like they announced all of these new things. They're all very nice devices. They're sort of listening to us in terms of the Mac Mini. The new Mac Mini actually has places where you can put in RAM and take RAM out instead of everything being soldered together, permanently set up so they're upgradable. But in terms of the newer laptops, things are being glued together now. They're not using screws to hold things together. It's becoming much, much more difficult for normal human beings to replace the battery or replace a hard drive on these devices. And that's how Apple wants it. They want you to just come to them. So that's a bad thing. I think it's better if you have other repair options than just Apple. But I feel that same way about Samsung refrigerators and about automobiles. It's nice to be able to take your automobile up to your local mechanic and have them be able to do stuff. So anyway, what I would encourage you to do is, if you're in the market for a newer laptop or maybe a Mac Mini, that you go onto the website, take a look at their snazzy displays of all the different changes.
On that new pencil,
Yeah.
the old one will not work with the newest iPads. The new one won't work with the older one.
We had that conversation while we were setting up tables and doing various things, and you are correct. The old Apple Pencil does not work with the latest and greatest iPads, and the new Apple Pencil does not work with the older iPads. and one of the members made some comment about he had sold off all of his old iPads, old iPads and pencils, and he bought new, and he's buying new, and I felt like, okay, you know.
The new one doesn't have to be plugged in to be charged either. I'm talking about the pencil.
That's correct. It just snaps on, there's a magnet, it snaps on and it charges wirelessly.
Okay. Have they gotten any farther to doing wireless charging for the phones and the?
They got it in the phone, it's in the newer phones. They charge wirelessly with Qi,
Okay.
the Qi technology. So that's not what they're using for the pencil,
Yeah.
but it does use wireless charging.
So they're using the magnetic inference?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Is Mojave mature enough to download now? You suggested last month, so wait a while.
okay. The way I operate, I like to have something that's, I know is stable and they got most of the bugs out. So I always stay one version behind. Okay, and that's fine because I tend to use older programs. I'm, you know, more conservative about how I do stuff. I try to not change everything every 30 days. Mojave, I was not recommending it last month. This month I'd say, yeah, if you want to use Mojave, go ahead. It just had a major update to it that took care of some of the security concerns that we had. Okay. Yes?
Except
Great.
if you own a beautiful CanoScan scanner that does negatives and everything, and you could switch to Mojave, and Mr. Howe back there is trying to figure out if we can make it work with the Windows program I have on there.
Okay.
They're not supporting it, it's all hairprint now.
Yeah. One of the things to remember is that in terms of, okay, I'm pretty sure I recall doing this little speech last month and the month before, but I'll do it one more time. Before I put a new operating system on my computer, I look to see if my printer will work with the new operating system. Will the programs that I use every day work with it, or do they need to be upgraded? Does my workflow still, you know, if I've got things that are scripted, will they still work, or have they changed the interface? Almost invariably, there's something that I've got that doesn't work with the latest and greatest. And so then I just say, okay, I'll stick with what I've got because I've got stuff that I need to get done. And then, in maybe a year, I'll switch to the new one.
When help desk comes up, I'll talk to you. I'd like to ask you a question concerning that.
But you don't just throw the new thing on, unless, of course, all you do is email and surf the web. If you just email and surf the web, you know, your probabilities are going to be, you know, good to go. But if you're using, let's say, Microsoft Office 2008 or Entourage as your mail client from Microsoft Office 2004, don't expect that to work seamlessly with Mojave. Okay, you know, because Microsoft dropped support of Entourage 2004, was it 8 years ago? We have a member who uses Entourage as their email client, and they're constantly sending me little things. This doesn't work. And I'm like, you know, nobody supports it anymore, and you're trying to make a program work that doesn't work with the operating system you got. So you need to maybe upgrade to Outlook. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, moving right along. Let's see. Can you think of any other things that have gone on of significance other than notables in the IT world dying? Mark Allen died. That made me sad. So anyway, I'm going to say, unless anybody else has a news item they want to let the group know about, that we'll move on to the next one. So anybody else have anything they want to contribute? Going once, going twice. Yes? Oh, thank you. You want to tell them, or you want me to?
No, no.
Okay. Flickr is a photo service that belongs to Yahoo, And now, of course, Yahoo is owned by Verizon. So, you get the merger of equals and synergy, all that stuff they tell you, but it really means that they're going to be letting the wrong people go. And they're going to consolidate services, and things that were free are going to be charged. Well, Flickr, it used to be not quite unlimited storage for your photos. There were upper limits to it, but you could have a lot of photos stored for free on Flickr. Now it's reduced to, is it a...
Well, first of all, it's owned by SmugMug.
Oh, did they sell it off?
Yeah.
Sold it off,
Sold
yeah.
it off.
Oh,
SmugMug,
okay. Okay.
bought it, and now, as of January 1st, I believe, the free accounts are limited to 1,000 pictures.
Okay.
But for $49.99 or whatever it is,
Yeah.
you can have unlimited storage and better, and up to 10-minute videos, which
Okay.
is good.
Okay. So they're restricting what you can do for free. They're going to have premium services that you can pay for. And of course, the reason people know about this is they give you advance notice, which people normally don't see, and then when they turn it off and you get this, your photos are going to be deleted unless you give us $50. So anyway, so if you're someone who uses Flickr extensively, you might want to be starting to bring those photos back into another storage medium, unless you like paying for the service. And they've got a pretty good reputation as a company, though, don't they?
SmugMug, yeah, they're a little, I mean, I used to have a regular SmugMug account at one time, but I thought it was a little expensive,
Okay.
so,
Okay, but quality of service was okay?
oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, just like the lunch, the $3 lunch, you can't get anymore now. It's the $10 lunch. Same thing with other services. Or $12 lunch. Okay. Freebies wanted and for sale. Did anybody bring in anything free that they're giving away this month? Going once, going twice? Is anybody looking for something that they need? Going once, going twice, and that's something. Has anybody got anything they're selling this month?
Well, it's really just the same old stuff. So. No, I've got.
See, if I was your VP of sales manager, I'd be talking about, no, you need to work your elevator speech up.
Well, okay. So, but one thing I didn't bring with me was too big.
Okay.
I didn't tell you about that.
Okay. Well, let's since I already know, why don't you tell the folks what you got?
What I didn't bring with me is I've got a Canon Pro 100 large format printer. Now normally, directly from Canon, they're like $500, but I've got one available for $200.
Okay.
And that's with a set of cartridges, 8 cartridges that come with it.
Okay, when you're talking large format, are we talking broadsheet, or are we
13.
talking 19 inch?
It'll do 13 by 19,
Okay.
2400 DPI. It's wireless print,
Okay.
and also Ethernet connectivity and USB. So,
And is it restricted to paper, or can you do other media?
it's got a back. It's got a feedback.
Okay, so you can do like card stock.
You could do heavy stock, and it also print onto DVDs
Okay.
and discs. If anybody's interested. And then some of the old stuff. I've got a external hard drive. This is a FireWire and USB external drive, not populated. It's just the enclosure. $40. And then several other components. I've got a Olympus digital camera, 12 megapixel point and shoot, and still trying to see if anybody's interested in a stylus or an iPad. And then for those grease monkeys out there, if you have any Asian vehicle, I've got an OBD analyzer and code, so you can erase trouble codes or find out what your trouble code is for your dummy light on your car. So talk to me at break.
Okay. Okay. let's move on to help desk. Okay, I'm going to start with the lovely Lenore.
Thank you, sir. I have two questions. First of all, there are security programs on laptops and desktops, and I'm wondering, is there any security programs that I can run on iPhone and iPad? And I don't find any, so I don't know what to do about that. And not even disk utility, let alone, clean or Avast. The second question is, can you please tell me how to stop my new iPad from ringing when my phone rings? I know it's probably simple, but I can't stand the fact that iPad is always ringing when my phone rings.
Okay.
But the
Let
security
me do
program.
the first one, and then I'm going to defer to Rick or Mark on the other one.
Okay.
Okay. My personal opinion is if I have an Android tablet or an Android device, okay, I would have security software, antivirus software on it, okay? If I've got a PC, desktop, laptop, I would have security software on it. If I have a notebook or desktop Apple, an iMac, a Mac Mini, I would have some sort of security software, antivirus software. However, on an iPhone, an iPod, an iWatch, Apple TV, any of those iOS devices, I would not bother because it's a closed, very, very secure ecosphere, if you will. Apple, you can only put on, unless you're doing stuff that you're not supposed to do with these devices. It's called jailbreaking. If you're not doing that, Apple has complete control over what programs are available, and they are policing that stuff pretty well. So if someone says, oh, it's a really great deal, they've got a security program for my phone, my Apple phone, and my MacBook Pro, I go, well, you really don't need to put it on the phone.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you agree? Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, second part, how do you get your iPad not to ring when your phone rings?
There's a setting
Okay.
buried in FaceTime.
Ah,
And you go into that setting, I'll have to look up the name of it, but you go into that setting on FaceTime and you turn it off on your iPad.
okay.
Okay, thank you. I'll look for it.
Now, is that, you're actually in FaceTime and you're looking for the
Settings.
setting, or you're in settings and then you go to FaceTime?
Yes.
Okay.
From the main screen, go into settings, and you go into FaceTime and look down for ring on iPad or ring on this device, whatever it's.
Gotcha.
I gotta
Thank
look it up to know exactly what it says.
Did we save your marriage? Is it-
you. Yeah.
Depends on who's calling.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
That's cute.
Now we'll come all the way to the front. Did you have a question, Mr. Ratchford?
Well, I have a story with a question.
Oh, okay. I like stories. Okay.
I was having a lot of trouble with my Mac, so I have Apple Care, and I called them up. And finally, the only way to solve the problem, according to the senior advisor, was upgrade to Mojave.
Mhm.
So we did that. It didn't really cure the problem, but somehow it got cured another way. But then I have this beautiful CanoScan 8800F, and it won't work with the Mojave. It stopped really with Mavericks, but you can still use the drivers clear up till High Sierra, that step over. They're just, this thing that's sitting on the desk looks like I've added a month, and it's obsolete. So they're causing this to go obsolete. And then another thing, the advisors always say, the only bad guy searcher on the thing should be malware bits or something like that.
Malware bytes.
Malware bytes. And they absolutely insist, and I've had this 3 or 4 times on advice, don't put antivirus on there, you don't need it.
Okay.
They're there.
Just to add my 2 bits. Okay. First, a general warning. There's a program called MacKeeper, and it also is vended under the name Clean Mac. Okay. This is spawn of the devil. It's Satan's work. You do not want to put it on your Macintosh computers. No way, no how. All right, so now that I've gotten that out of the way.
MacKeeper and what?
MacKeeper, and it's also called Clean Mac, which is really bad for the folks at MacPaw who have a Clean My Mac program. Okay. And the folks at MacKeeper deliberately did that. Okay, backstory. MacKeeper, they're Russian Federation. MacPaw is the Ukraine. Okay, they're all like donuts. Anyway, they had to move because the airport was being shut. Anyway,
Say the 2 names again.
MacKeeper, no, bad, evil. Clean Mac, no, bad, evil. Basically, if you're on a website and it says, oh, you have a problem with your Mac, you need to have this program, just say no. Now, technical information, there is antiviral Unix protocols in Mac OS and Mac OS X. Okay? It's a well-known Unix executable called ClamAV. A command line antivirus for mailers. And the AV is a program where you can actually get to it. So the Macintosh operating system has a whole bunch of antivirus stuff built into it that protects the computer from this stuff. However, they don't necessarily protect if somebody sends you a infected attachment and then you email it off to someone else. Well, it's not going to spot it and stop it because it's not going to affect your Mac if it's a PC virus. So I still recommend that people have some sort of antivirus program running on their Macintosh. A very low impact one that's available from the Apple Store is ClamXAV. And it lets you do scans and all sorts of other stuff. I don't recommend any of the high-powered stuff that you would put on a PC.
Kind of a follow-up. I have Windows 10 on there. Mr. Howell right now is trying to find out if the drivers for that scanner
Okay,
can be run
so
there.
you have Windows 10 running on your MacBook Pro, probably either in VirtualBox or Parallels.
Parallels.
Okay. And it should be really copacetic with your Canon scanner and printer.
Well, he's working on that right now.
Yes, no?
Can't install it. Because he's at Mojave now, he's full 62.
Yeah.
And
And the drivers are 32? Okay.
the guy at Apple said download the 8.1 Windows version for 64-bit. It will install.
Okay.
So I'm trying to go through the UScan.
Yeah, because the 8.1 driver, the Microsoft Windows 8.1, that's the operating system, the drivers for the Canon, that's not going to work with Windows 10. Because you're probably not running Windows Pro.
So I'm trying UScan
Yeah.
and seeing if, I can't find his scanner listed because it's 10 years old, but I'm going to still install it and see if he can get it to work.
That program is pretty bodacious. I was able to connect scanners up that were made somewhere in Eastern Europe. This is when I was still at the newspaper. So we're talking like 1990s. And with UScan, I could connect this stuff from the Soviet bloc and it would work.
Okay. I'll go ahead and install it.
The problem we run into is, can you print then? If it's a printer scanner type,
Just
all
a
one,
straight
scanner.
just scan.
they've got a scanner, they've got a driver specifically for his scanner.
Yes, George?
Follow up, how about a VAS? Is that still okay for my,
Yeah, the only thing Avast does, the free Avast,
Yes.
the only thing that they do that's annoying is they're trying to sell you their VPN service at
yeah, right.
$7 a month.
Yeah.
You want to just basically tell them no on that. Okay. What I usually recommend is they have a copy of Bitdefender to periodically scan their computers to see if there's anything bad on it, or malware bites. And then for actual protection, either Avast or ClamXAV. What's nice about Avast is it protects you. I feel like I'm doing a Excedrin commercial. 3 ways it protects you. It watches your email coming in, what's attached to it. It watches when you're web surfing. And then it also watches if you're inserting a flash drive or a CD and bringing stuff. So it protects you 3 different ways. The problem is they're getting to be, well,
So I have Norton Securities system.
another good one. Another good
That's
one.
okay?
Yeah. Norton, which is actually Symantec.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then McAfee also makes some products for the Mac. They're okay, but they're not necessarily as good as they could be.
You mentioned I'm sorry.
You scan?
Oh, the malware. I noticed that they say now we have an upgraded version, which is free, but then when you go to the free thing, it says we're also downloading a trial thing, which would cost money. You just download both. And then
No, what I do is I uncheck boxes. So this is a technique that was used in the PC world for years. And the general term that was used for it is crapware. You go to download your update for Adobe Flash, and they install Google Chrome, and they install Dashlane password. And in there, if you read the dialog boxes, you can unclick those things so that it doesn't install those other things.
I couldn't find that dialog box.
They don't make it easy. It's like reading the fine print on an annuity policy.
Yeah, because it just said you want to download this, the free trial thing is going to come with it.
Yeah. The other thing to watch out for is anything where they ask for a credit card number.
Yeah.
Because the free trial, when that's over, they automatically start billing. And sometimes, like canceling Comcast service, it can be one of these things that it seems like there's no way you can undo the service. So I try to stay away from those as much as possible.
On the new iMac I have, they keep wanting me to upgrade to Mojave. And I don't want to do that, but I'm afraid to click on anything because I don't know if that's going to just automatically stick it on or not. There's some way to make it go away.
There is, but I'll have to go look and see what the switches are. What comes to mind immediately, and maybe Rick or Mark can keep me on track, is you go into your App Store settings and you make sure that you're not set to automatically update so that it always has to ask you. And what I usually do is I let it go ahead and download the new installer, but I don't let it run. Okay. Because once it's there, then it stops nagging you about downloading. How new is your machine?
17.
Okay, so it's a brand new machine. And it came with High Sierra?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and your programs were working okay on High Sierra? Yeah. I would feel confident going to Mojave if you really, get tired of being nagged.
There's a couple reasons why I don't do it. So.
Okay.
All right, just asking. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill,
yes.
you might mention that Mojave has a new app store and that there's a new preference pane now to do your OS updates.
Yeah.
Is there any reason to go to Mojave? It's not a security issue.
Are you goth? Are you, into the goth thing, the black eyebrows and the dark clothes? Because that dark mode, I basically call it goth mode myself. Other than that, no, not really.
Because everything seems to work pretty well in High Sierra now.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Bill, do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, in Mojave, in your system preferences, the little gear, that's where you do your software update for your iOS.
Right.
In the App Store, that's just for the apps on your computer. There are two different places now for updates.
Oh, okay, they split it again.
They've split it. So you may get the little system preferences gear thing with a little red one on it. That means you've got an iOS update, but if you get an App Store with a little red number on it, that means you've got app updates.
Yeah.
And it looks like iOS on the iPhone and the iPad. So,
Yeah.
and you can go in, you open up the App Store and click on preferences, and you can check or uncheck automatic updates. So,
Okay, now I'm going to ask, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you have it automatically updated?
yeah, because I'm running beta on my laptop,
Okay,
so that's a whole different.
so you're out on the cutting edge.
Well, it automatically downloads it, and then I can
Yeah.
install it whenever I want.
Yeah, I do beta testing for different companies, and on my beta test machine, I have the latest and greatest running. And I have everything where it automatically updates, because I'm trying to find things that don't work. Because if I report it, then maybe I get a free copy of the program later on. Okay. But if you're trying to get things done, you just want to read that email, take that picture, save it, do whatever, find that thing that you want to buy at Kohl's using your web browser. Then you don't want to be adventurous. You just want things to work. You want it to be dull and boring. When you click the button, it just does what you expect it to do. For those folks, I usually recommend that they stay with one operating system back and just keep their applications updated. Because Apple will not let you update a program past the operating system you've got. So on my Sierra machines, it keeps telling me there's all these other updates I could be doing for Pages and Keynote, but they're incompatible updates because I don't have the operating system for it. And on my High Sierra machines, same deal. Okay. So it's just, how adventurous do you want to be? Do you want that kimchi in with your pulled pork, or do you want to just go with regular barbecue sauce?
So you're saying that with all these new updates, if you don't have the space or the memory, it won't allow you to download it?
No, what I'm saying is, if I'm running an older version of the operating system, they may have made an improvement for one of these programs, but it only is for the latest operating system.
Oh, okay, I see.
And they will prevent you from getting involved with that.
I see.
Where were they when I was cleaning my gutters?
But Apple will allow you to keep downloading the newest systems.
Oh, sure.
And even though you don't have the space and memory to handle it. I mean, that happened to me with the old desktop.
Yeah.
And then I had to go get more memory.
Yeah.
Mark helped me
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Which it seems
See,
to me they
that's
should
all
tell
part of
them.
the thing to remember about Apple devices. Where do they make their money? Money maker number one is the iPhone. Money maker number two is the watch. Money maker number three is the iPad. iPod not so much, and all the Macintoshes, that's like 12%, 10% of the revenue, of the profit. 10 to 12% of the profit. So if you think of Pareto's principle, 20% of your generates 80% of the Macintosh is not a profit generator.
Well, they don't care about me at all.
No, we're the stepchildren.
Yeah.
The MacBook users, the you know, if you're not doing iOS
Yeah.
or watchOS, you're really, you know, you're the old fogies that haven't moved to the new devices.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is that, am I being unfair? No?
I like the info.
So, moving right along, anybody else help this? Going once, going twice?
One more.
Okay.
Can I run an old version of Mac OS using Parallels?
Yes. Yes, you can, but there's some magic you have to do to get it to work.
I'm thinking of that as a workaround, but
Or what I usually do is, I'll have an external hard drive, and I'll install a complete operating system and my apps on that external hard drive. And then when I start up the computer, I hold down my Option key, and I point it to that hard drive, not the internal hard drive, and then I'm running Snow Leopard, and I simply start
there's a workaround for my problem.
Yeah. You have to be careful in that some models can't run old versions of the operating system. So there's a range that you can run. Typically, start with the version of the operating system that came with the computer, and you can usually run one older version of that.
I have to go all the
And
way
then you
back.
go all the way up to where the mod is.
I have to go all the way back to High Sierra, and that'll work fine.
Yeah. And then again, one of the ways I do that is I'll use my time machine backup, and I'll say, oh, this external hard drive that's connected to my Mac computer is the real deal, and I want to restore it from my time machine backup. So put all the programs and the stuff back on from, 2 weeks ago before I talked to Apple
See
support.
what
and they had
happens,
me
you
update.
might get a visitor at home.
Yes.
I've got a virtual edition of El Capitan running on High Sierra. The only problem I ran into was migration assistance, and the fact that it wouldn't recognize the virtual machine separately from the host machine. So if you're trying to migrate, that's a problem. But if you're just trying to reinstall, it shouldn't be.
Or to put it in other terms, you already had your Mac moved, it wasn't working right. So if you did a brand new install on that external hard drive, and then installed your programs you want and moved the data you want, you'd be good to go. Okay? Because you're not bringing all the old crap in. It's the difference between moving into a brand new house and moving into someone's house. If you're moving into someone's house, they've got all their stuff still there. Yeah. Okay, George.
This is an entirely different question. We have an iMac, and my wife has an account, she's a user, and I have an account. Well, sometimes I'm doing something on my machine, but I really want her to have access or actually put it on her machine.
Okay.
I know the email way of doing it. I can email her and send a file or to her. But there seems to me like there should be a much more elegant way.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So on the screen behind us, we've got a desktop, and unlike how Apple wants you to have it, I have my hard drive showing up as an icon. So we're going to open up that hard drive. Now remember, when we open up a hard drive or whatever, just think of it as a box. It's like a box. We just opened up a box. And I'm going to switch to icon view. So in this box, we've got a couple smaller boxes. Yeah, I know they're folders, but we'll call them boxes. Applications, library, system, user guides, and users. We're going to look in the users box. Okay, so now we're looking in the users box. And we've got 3 different boxes up here. Okay, we got the one that looks like a little house. That's the user account that I'm logged in as.
Right.
Okay, so pretend, this is scary, pretend I'm you. Okay, so this is George. Okay? And the other thing up there, it's called swag, that would be the wife's account. Okay. Now, if we open up Jones' folder, it's not going to let us do anything because it's all locked down. Okay, so we've got something, maybe a file, a document, a picture. You want to have everybody to have access to it. Well, there's another folder. It's called Shared. Shared. And if you put something in the Shared folder, it's not in your folder, so it doesn't get locked down. And it's not in her folder, it doesn't get locked down. But it's available to either of you when you're logged in. Okay. So I know some people who are very, very daring. They actually have their music libraries and their photos library in the Shared folder instead of in their own folder. Okay. So if I put a file in there, you notice I've got a bunch of stuff up there. It's available to me regardless of which account I'm logged in on.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Or to use my business example, we've got a very small company. You got the owner, you got the salesman, and you got the janitor. Okay? And you've got this emergency contact list that the owner needs to get to it. It's like if the toilets overflowed, the power went out. You need to, who's the plumber, who's the electrician, who handles, the gutters fell off the building. You want everybody to have access to that phone list. You put it in the Shared folder. So when the janitor's in there late at night and he's logged in as himself, because you don't want him to have access to the sales stuff or the owner's stuff, he can still get to that file.
Okay.
Shared folder.
Right.
Think of it like a village green.
So, could I drag something from my folder to the Shared folder?
Sure. Okay, so here we are. I'm logged in as William Herrick.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, bring up Finder. And then I want to go back up to the user folder. And what I usually do is I just drag that Shared folder into my sidebar like that.
Yeah.
So it's always available to me. So like if I'm looking at my desktop, I can just take like this little thing here, raffle copy, and drag it in, put it into Shared. Whoop. It's now in the Shared folder, which means that if I log in as a different user, I can get to it. Okay?
All right.
Now I'm going to go back to Shared, take that right raffle copy and put it back up. That's also how I'll move stuff from one account to another. It's like by mistake, I downloaded something like a Unix distribution, a Linux distro, but I was logged in as my wife, and I go, oh, crap. Well, I can't put it in my user folder because that's all locked down. If we go over here, just real quick, open up Swag. See how we got those do not enter symbols on those folders? That means I can't look in them, I can't put anything in them.
All right.
Okay. Well, if I want to move something from her account where I downloaded it by mistake and I want it over in mine, I drag it from her account into the Shared folder, log out as her, log back in as me, and then take it from the Shared folder and put it in my folders. Okay? So it can also be used as sort of like a shared area. Okay? Migration point, if you will. Okay. Anybody else? You done? Okay. So I don't have a Jim Acosta moment here. That's good.
Oh, dear.
So the next thing, I know, I apologize. I usually try and keep this space pristine, clear of politics and religion and stuff. And I try to make sure that you have no idea of what I think about any of these things, because as Mark Jarges told, well, I can't say that one about everybody has an opinion. Yeah, I can't repeat that one. Okay, because it gets filmed. Okay. So the next thing is raffle.
And it's a good thing I'm wiped up because I have a little bit of a raspy voice myself.
So, bro,
class on creating holiday videos. I am really excited about this topic because it's one of my favorite. I hope you get something out of it. Does anybody take pictures with their iPhone?
Yeah.
Has anybody done much video with their iPhone? Excellent. That's what we're going to talk about today because I don't think many people do that. I have to tell you a little story. Last year in January, early January, we took and went to Utah to see our grandchildren in Utah for Christmas. So we went out after Christmas. We actually went out after the first year because I retired December 31st. So that was going to be our first getaway trip. So we left and we went out there, and I was having a good time. And I sat down with my granddaughter. She's 6 years old now. And she's sitting beside me, and I've got my iPhone there. And next thing I know, I pull up the Clips app, which we're going to talk about today, and we start making videos. And this little girl picked this up, like, you know how kids are.
Yeah.
She picked this app up that we're going to talk about today, and we made several really cool videos. I still have them on my phone, and they are so precious to me to have those videos that she made with me on my iPhone. So I want to teach you how to do that today. And I think you're going to pick this up pretty fast. It's not really hard. So we're going to start by talking about that. And so we'll spend some time on Clips. This is an app that works on the iPhone. You should download and try. And then after we get done with Clips, we're going to go over and talk a little bit about iMovie. Time allows, and get as far into that as we can. I hope to walk you through how it works, and then maybe have enough time to do a demo of both, and at least as much as we can, and answer any questions. Yes?
Will this work on Android?
No. This will not work on Android. I don't even know what Android is. That's a joke.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about those two apps today, and I hope you get a lot out of it. So what do you need to do to get this started? What do you have to have? The first thing you got to have for this first part is Clips. Now I put this slide up on purpose because this tells what you have to have. And I don't know why it slid off a little bit, but if you're going to run Clips, you have to have iOS 11.1. So if you don't have iOS 11.1, it won't work. If your phone will run iOS 11.1, and if your phone will run that or newer, which is like iOS, which is like probably 5S and newer, it will run Clips. But you have to have at least iOS 11.1. All right? On iMovie, you got to have at least iOS 11.2 to run it on mobile. It'll also run on the on the Mac. We'll talk about that a little bit too today. So that's kind of where we're at. So I think most people will be able to run this. It goes back and will work on most devices. So you'll have to download the Clips app. You just search for it in the App Store, and that's where we're going to start. All right? Called Clips, C-L-I-P-S. Okay, that's the icon for Clips. It's just a little icon. Now, Apple just updated this app this week. I'm not going to talk about that update today. There is some new stuff in there. I'm not going to show any of that today. All right, this is what it looks like when you bring up Clips. The first time you start Clips, you're going to see this little movie run. And it's going to look like this. And it's going to be this lady. She's moving around doing some things. And they're going to show you what that'll look like. And it'll eventually come up to that middle screen where you get this replay at the bottom. You can replay that video. Or you can just click Get Started to start your clip. That's all there is to it. That's how you get going. It's so easy to use. This app is really easy to use. All right. That all makes sense so far? You're going to see a little video play. Shows you an example. And then you'll see this screen. We're going to click Get Started because we're actually going to use this. All right? That's how it's going to start for you. So then you're going to see this screen. It's kind of gray and darked out. I apologize, but this is me. I don't know why I look so gray. But you'll see you got a camera, library, and posters. We're going to talk about what those mean. You got this button. This is your hold to record button. This is how you record video. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what all those various things on the screen mean in a second. But that's how it should look. And if you got it on the self-facing camera, the front camera, that's what you're going to see is your own face. I'm sorry if it scared you. It scared me when I first brought mine up. I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, what's that? So that's what you're going to see. All right? Okay, so how do we get started? What's all this mean? What's all of it do? So a few things I wanted to talk about. from this point here, now this is what it looks like on my phone. This is slightly different than maybe your phone. This is iPhone 10. You have one extra thing called Scenes in iPhone 10 that doesn't exist on any other phone. So if you have an iPhone 10 or a 10s, you'll have this one. You will not have this one if you have any other phone. You'll just have those three. You're going to select either one of these things to actually get started. They all work the same way. It doesn't matter which one you pick. But for the sake of this, we're just going to use the camera to create a video, okay? And I'll tell you what the other ones do too. All right. Now, when you first start, there's this thing called live titles. Live titles allow you to talk to the phone and it'll add the titles right on the screen from the live titles view. You could select live titles. We're not going to do this right now, but you can select live titles and play with that, and it'll allow you to show you where these titles are going to be on the screen and what they're going to look like. So if you click that live title thing, you'll get those examples. We're not going to walk through that today, but it's something you can play with. But it's a way to add titles to your screen, add text to your screen for the title of your video. That's what that's for.
Do you type in or do you use voice?
It does that by voice. You can also type it in. There's a way to do it by type.
So
You'll see
you
that.
can also do voiceover. You could say what the slide was or what this is.
That's a little different than this.
Okay.
This is just to put a title on this opening screen. All right. The next thing you're going to find is this is live titles again. This is the example. See how it's speak while recording to add a title. So if you click this, then you can scroll back and forth across this thing and pick where do you want the title to be, down at the bottom, up at the top, what font you want it to use. There's all kinds of things you can select. That's what live titles looks like. I never use live titles. To be perfectly honest, I do it other ways. But you can use live titles and it'll work. All right. The next screen is this little star over in the corner. And now what we can do is, when we click that star, we can add all kinds of special stickers. That's what that gets you to. So like if I did with mine, I started out with this screen, it was just me. I clicked some of these things and I started adding them on the screen. So the first thing I did is I picked this one, Away We Go, and then I drug it to the top of the screen. So that's going to appear in my video. Make sense? So whatever you pick on this screen, you got a whole bunch of these and you can slide across. There's dozens of these things. You can pick some kind of sticker and you can just add it to the screen. Put it anywhere you want on the screen. You put it across your face, up in the corners. My granddaughter got really excited about this. She would put stickers all over the place. I had stickers all over my face. It was a really exciting thing for her. So you can add stickers. You notice also I selected some emojis because you can pick stickers, labels, filters. Filters is where you can make it look different. So I filtered my face and made it look different first. Then I selected a label and I added the Away We Go as a label. Then I went over to the icon, the emojis, and added a thumbs up emoji right here. So you can add those to the screen. That will be in the information that you're recording when you do this. Make sense? That's how you add stickers to the screen. And it's just cute. This is fun. This is not something you're going to make into a motion picture and get a Grammy for, or whatever.
An Oscar.
Or an Oscar. Yeah, you're right. Grammar's different.
Now, how long does that stay in your video?
Till you let your finger up. I'm going to show you that in a minute. When you do clips, you're making clips. So you're making a section of a clip, and then you're making another clip, and then you're making another clip, and that will all be one video. So it's on there for the clip that you're making. It'll be there. And then you can start another clip and take it off. Next thing you can do is select music. This is pretty cool because you can create theme music to go with your video. So if you click the music icon, then you get a choice. Do you want a soundtrack, or do you want to pick music from the music you have in your phone? All right? You can pick any of that and use. Since you're not going to sell this or publish it, you can use music that you wouldn't want to use otherwise. You can use copyrighted music that's on your phone or whatever, but it's not legal to send that out, do it with otherwise. But if I pick select music, I can click my article. Here's soundtracks. These are the soundtracks that are there. You can click any of these soundtracks. They download onto your phone, and then you can use that soundtrack for your video. And that's the way that my granddaughter did it. So she picked a soundtrack. I don't remember what she picked. I've got to look it up and see. But you could pick music from your phone using you could look by albums, the genre, the composer, the playlist, pick some music from the music you got. Pick the music you want to use for that clip. That's what you're going to do here. Now, one more thing I want to mention, up at the top of the screen, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little box, looks like that. That's where you add projects. Later on, when you create lots of these things, they're going to be stored as a project. So you'll have a project called, I had one, we had 5 or 6 of them that she did that day. Each of them had a different name. You store those by project. Then when you open up later, you can pick which project you want to work on. But for now, you're only going to have one project. We're not going to do much on that today. Okay, this was an example of projects. I have one project. You can always go to click the project button, click Create New. That's how you start a new project. And new projects are really easy to pick. That way, you just make a new project, start recording. That's that simple. Good so far? Okay. We're going to make one here in just a second. A few notes that you need to know about. You can use the front or the back camera. It works the same. There's a little thing in the bottom, just like there is with your camera. You punch that button, it goes to the back camera or the front camera every time you punch it. So if you want to make a video, if I want to make one of all of you, which I'm going to do in a few minutes, I would just punch that button, use the back camera, and then you would be in the picture. Okay? Second thing is, your photos, your personal photos, are in the library. So if you click the library button there at the beginning that I showed you, you can take any pictures, any video, anything out of your library. So let's say you have a video that you made some time ago, and you want to use that as a clip. You can do that. You just pick library, find that photo in your library, pick it, and that becomes the source for your video. Okay? It works the same way otherwise, though. It's just pick where's the source. Is it from your camera or from your library? It can be either one. Videos work the same. Push and hold the record button to actually make your video. So if I pulled up a picture of my granddaughter and I wanted to make that the first 5 seconds of my video, I would pick the source as the picture in my library, my granddaughter, then I would push and hold the record button for 5 seconds, and I would have a 5-second video of her picture. If I had a video in my library that was 20 seconds long, and I wanted to use the whole thing, I would pick the video, and I would have to push the whole record button through the whole video, the whole 20 seconds, and then let up, and that would be in my clip. Make sense? That's how you get these pictures out of your library into a video. This works the same on an iPad as it does on your phone. You can use clips on your iPad. You cannot use clips on your Mac. Clips only works on iOS. So it works on iPad. It would work on an old iPhone Touch too, an iPad Touch, but it will not work on the Mac. All right? Now we get to do a little demo. Does this all make sense? You should all play along with me. So if you've got your phone and you got clips, you should do this as well. Because I don't want to do this alone. Because the goal here is when you get home, you can go have fun with these with your grandkids or your kids or whoever you want to do this with. So I'm going to bring up the Clips app, and I am going to connect it to this thing and cross my fingers that it works like it's supposed to. Sometimes the connection on this is a little funny, so let's see how it goes. Hey, it works. This is scary stuff. All right, so I'm going to start by just making a video of me standing here. I'm going to reverse it. I think I'll make it of you guys since I said I was going to do this. So there you are. Now the little red button down at the bottom, if I push that red button, it'll just start recording. So the first thing I'm going to do is just record you guys. I'm just going to do it across the room. So watch this. I push and hold the button. See how at the bottom of the screen it's walking across the screen? It's recording that video. And we're having a ball. Excellent. You guys are movie stars. So that's it. Now let's say I like that. So far, so good. I could play it by pushing the little play button down here in the lower left. So I push that. That's the different one. Sorry, that's a different thing. Oh, there is something at the beginning. I forgot I put that there. I could delete that, but I'm not going to. That's the one I showed you earlier. Push and hold the button. See how at the bottom of the screen is that's playing what you did earlier. It's recording that video. So that's the first part of our video. We got 2 clips so far. One I did the other day with the Mickey Mouse thing and that. Now let's say I want to make something a little fancier.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You use clips. In the past, we would go to the photo thing, and we could do this, get the same picture, but with the clips, you got your voice. Same
It was recording. You can turn off the voice. In the clip, there's a button here to mute. I'll find it and show it to you in a second. There's a button, you can mute that, so you wouldn't get the recording. I left it on.
Okay, but you can record voice here, and when you use the photos,
You can turn it on or
you
off.
don't get the voice.
Yeah, this way you can do it either way.
Okay.
You can turn it on or turn it off. Now I'm going to add another clip. For this one, I'm going to add some labels or some. I'm going to add some. So I went into the posters, and I'm going to add a poster that says now showing. It's downloading now showing. It's got to download that, which for whatever reason is taking forever. There it goes.
There it goes.
All right. So now it's got that as the clip. And I push record for how long I want that to be on the display. If I don't record that, it's not in the clip yet. So I push the record. Now it's part of the clip. So it's actually in the clips. Now I'm going to make another clip, and I'm going to add something from my pictures. There's a picture I took the other day. Right here, my wife took this actually. This plane, we were out hiking, and this guy was buzzing around. I don't think he wanted me flying my drone. Yes.
I'm sitting in the chair so I can see the screen.
Well, I'll fly over. And Bill's really good at that. I'm not real good at that.
There we go.
So here's the plane. Now I'm just going to push record and add this as a clip. See it scrolling across, so I added about 5 seconds of that plane. I can also add to the plane, I don't want to lag time. Hit the star button. I'm going to add some stickers. I'm going to add a sticker, I slide across. I will add this lightning bolt. Just because. Then I can go up and drag where I want to put it. And then I can record that a little bit too. I hit the X, I go back and hit record. So now let's see what we got so far.
How do you rearrange the clips?
You can drag it, you can go in and move it.
Just go up, pick it up, and drop it?
Push and hold the button. See how at the bottom of the screen is walking across the screen, recording that video. You guys a good picture. Excellent. And then I've got this now showing. You can delete things too. There's our plane. You can go back and mute the voice over afterwards too. So if you want to get the voice out later, you can mute it after the fact. Okay, we got a whole bunch of stuff in there. Now let's say I want to add some music. I'll go to soundtracks. And we'll go, can't keep checking my phone. That sounds good.
Now, do you put this soundtrack across all the clips, or? Okay.
It's across all the clips. There we go. And just click apply at the top once you've found what you want. Now I'm going to play it. You can't hear it very well. I push and hold the button. See how at the bottom of the screen is walking across. You can hear the music in the background, but my voice is buried in it. I should mute that. Excellent. That's how you use clips. And it really works that simple. If you had a video and you wanted a piece of video, I'll show you an example of that. I got a video I made the other day for YouTube that will just take a few clips from the very beginning. So if I go back to library, this is a video I took, some video from Portland Army State Park. Well, it's going to take way too long. You're going to have to go shorter than that. Here's a video. This should go faster. Maybe not. Too long too. We need a real short video. Well, maybe I won't show you. If you get a video, then what you have to do is download the whole video, and then you'll have to push the button and record across how much of that you want. You can just take a piece of the video and bring that in if you want. You don't have to bring the whole video in. Then once you're done, that's it. You can click the button down at the bottom. There's a share button, that up arrow out of the box, and you can send it to somebody. I got a whole bunch of you guys in here you're on my AirDrop. But I can send it as a message, I can send it as an email, I can share it as a file, whatever I want to do. You can share it with somebody, or you can just, you can also put it in your camera roll. So you can save it to your camera roll. Here's a camera roll. Save video down at the bottom right there. If you click save video, put it in your camera roll. So then you'd have it in your camera roll, and you can share it with anybody just the same way as you would anything in your camera roll. Yes?
What format is the video? It looks like it's square, but it's probably regular, normal.
It's coming out here, it's square.
4x3.
Yeah, it's square. You can take it somewhere else and modify that, do something with it, but you can't do that inside Clips. Clips is really basic. It allows you to do the very basic things, but it's not going to let you get crazy.
So you can't record landscape?
No. It doesn't know the difference. It's not going to deal with that. It's just one, all you get is a square picture. Other questions?
So it's just assembly, or can you?
It assembles as you go.
But can you like reorder it, you said?
Yeah,
You can go down here to the bottom. Like let's say I wanted to move this clip. You just grab it and drag it.
Okay.
And so I'm going to put it between that set of clips. And I decided I wanted to move this holiday thing down to the end. You just drag them wherever you want them. So it takes a clip, and you can drag that clip to wherever you want it. You can move it. So you have ability to control the sequence of your clips. So once you get some done, then you say, I wanted to put something at the beginning to get started. That happened with me with the first time with my granddaughter. I didn't know we were going to do all that. It was too cool. Well, then we added them, and then I drug them to the beginning to make it more cool. She thought that was great. I thought it was pretty cool, too.
It sounds like a great training wheel to get you excited about what you can do, then you can start using iMovie.
Oh, no question. This is a great place to start. And it's perfect for kids because kids, this is the way kids think. And it works exactly the way they think. So it's a great way to start them on, hey, let's make a video. And so it works really good there. But it works good for adults too because I love it and I'm a kid at heart. So, as most of us are. So it's really great for that kind of thing. And other questions? Before we talk about iMovie a little bit, which we're going to make a go at. Yes?
How do you turn the sound off?
There's that, let's show you that. I got to find it again. When you're in your clips, you're in a clip, there's a button right in the middle. If I click on the clip, if I click the mute button, it'll mute the sound for that whole clip. You just have to click on the clip after you've edited it. Click it, you'll get that stuff across the top. They've added a thing called mute in the middle. If you click the mute, then there'll be no sound for that. So if I just do that, see I turned the sound off in that clip. I'll go turn it off in the other one where I was talking to a couple of them. Mute that one. That was already muted. I'll mute that one. Now let's play it.
Now, will the music still play?
Yes. You may have to go in and add that after the fact. There's the music playing. So it mutes the stuff that you added to the clip, but it doesn't mute that over the music over.
It mutes what you recorded.
Right.
Now we get this out of the App Store,
App Store.
and it's just called Clip.
It's free. It is totally free. You can download it for free, and it's just called Clips.
It's just called Clip. Okay.
And it's a relatively new. Apple's only had it for a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years, maybe a little over a year and a half. It takes a little while to get used to how it works because you've got to push that record button, and you think, well, why should I have to record a picture I put in there? Well, they want you to tell how much of it you want. So you have to push the record button so you know how much of it you want. I take videos, and then I'll go back to a video, and I just take pieces of the video and use clips to actually record only the parts that I want. And it lets you do that.
I, over the years, have taken a lot of short clips, usually out on a boat, but so I can bring them in, edit them,
Yes.
move them around.
You're just going to have to live with this video format. It's the only thing.
Well, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of the video I take in 9:16. You know, the 9. And so you're going to have to deal with formatting issues, but you could do exactly what you're talking about. You can add all this cool stuff around it, add some stickers or titles, and then publish it if you want it. Other questions?
Isn't Clips come standard in the latest iOS?
It's not installed.
It's not?
And it wasn't on mine. I don't.
It was on mine because I
Well, that's
didn't know
cool.
it was there.
Well, if it's installed, that's even better. But it is an app in the App Store. So if it's not installed, you may have to go get it. I had to
iOS
go get it.
11, no. iOS 12, yes. It's
So was it 12? That's probably why, because I carried over from my 11. And
Just
11,
like you
I
got voice memos,
Yes.
clips.
Other questions? Because that's Clips, in a nutshell. That's the quick and dirty version. I love Clips. I think it's great for kids, yes.
Just any idea what the overhead is for the various stickers? Because I think I've downloaded about 20 of them while you were.
You have to go, if you go into the settings, usage, find Clips and look, you'll see how much it's using. I don't think it's really big. Those are pretty small stickers. When you start downloading the music, that's where it starts to add up in terms of storage. You download music, or if you're adding videos to a clip, it'll start using some storage. So, you know, if you have very limited storage in your iOS device, you may have to get rid of some of your clips after you do it because they may use a lot of memory. If you're using a lot of that stuff.
When you share it, I mean, is it an MP4? Or what's...
It's I think it's a .mov.
Can you download it to Facebook?
You could. You could upload, once you get these in your, you could put these things in your, you could put them in your library, your photos library. Once they're in your photos library, just like any picture, you can upload them to Facebook or wherever you want to put them.
In the store, iCloud?
They're in the, well, it depends on how you're using. If you have all your, this is going to be a little complicated. If you're using photos without the iCloud library, you're just using them on your device, they will just be on your device. If you're using iCloud for your photos, which I do, but not everybody does, then but if you use that, then it'll store them in the cloud, and it'll optimize the storage on your phone if you have it stored that way. So it depends on how you have your iOS device configured to how it's going to do that. Make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's Clips. I thought I said clip there for a second. So that's Clips. Okay? Anything else on Clips? And I want to talk for just a few minutes about iMovie. And if there's time, we'll try to get a demo in of that. All right. iMovie. I love iMovie, but it's very limited. So at the end of this, I'm going to tell you about some other video apps that you may want to check out. But iMovie is free. That's what's great about it. You can download it on your PC, your Mac. You can download it on your iOS devices. I even have it on my iPhone. It works. It works very great. It's great for really simple videos. Today what I'm going to show you how to do is to take pictures that you take at Christmas or the holiday, just take a whole bunch of pictures and just make them into a movie. That's the simplest way to use iMovie, and I think it's one of the easiest things to do. And I'm going to show you how you do that. And then if you want to do other things, there's other cool things you could do with iMovie, but there's only so far you can take it. So we'll talk about that at the end of this. A few notes. I'm assuming that you know how to get photos on your Mac or your iOS devices. So you all know how to take pictures. I'm not going to talk about that today unless we have some questions. I'll be using my photo library, so the pictures I'm going to bring up are things that I have in my photo library. This is the simplest of videos that you can make on iMovie, in my opinion. We're not going to get into making really complicated videos. This is very easy, very simple. And the slides that I took, the pictures I used in here, are all from my iPad, but it looks almost identical on your Mac. So if you want to use it on your Mac, you can use it on your Mac. It will look very similar. And everything I'm going to tell you today works both the same on both of them. All right? I don't care where you got your video. The bottom point, but we're not going to talk about that. So when you start it up, you get a screen something like this. I have some projects in here in iMovie that I've used from before. Those are old projects. We're going to create a new project. The plus button means we're going to add a new project. It's the same as it is on Clips in that regard. So we hit the plus button to start a new project. And I'm assuming you've already downloaded iMovie to do this, all right? You'll come to this screen next. We can either do a movie or a trailer. Trailers are pretty cool because they allow you to create some real cool effects that, you know, you've seen movie trailers before. This is what you would do to make your own trailer. And they're nice, they're cool, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to create a movie. So we select movie. So I'm walking you right through the process. So you select movie, and then you'll get this screen comes up. You got some choices of where your media sources are. You can take it from Moments. This is your library of pictures. You can take video. That would show you all the videos in your library. Photos in your library, and albums. So you can have a particular album. You may have an album from Christmas or from Thanksgiving that you call Thanksgiving 2018, a couple weeks from now. You could click Album and then go find that album and just use the pictures that are in that album. Okay? For the sake of today, I'm just going to use Moments. I picked some pictures that were in my album called Moments, which is something Apple creates for you. And I selected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I selected 8 pictures. You do that by just clicking them. You get a blue check mark. That means it's selected. We good so far?
Okay.
So you select your pictures. Once you select your picture, all you got to do is create movie, and you'll have a movie. It's that simple.
Wow.
So create movies at the bottom. It says I've got 8 items. That's going to create a 1-minute video. And I selected which ones I want. You can select more. If you have 50 pictures from your Thanksgiving feast that you want to make into a movie, you just select all 50 of them, and then create a good movie. Good with it so far?
Mm-hmm.
This is the easiest way to make a video of your pictures. I actually love this because so many people take pictures, but they don't have a good way to show them. You know, slideshows are one thing, but this makes them into a movie. So you can actually pop that up on your television in the living room or whatever right afterwards. You can take the picture that day, and within a few minutes you can have a video to show everybody's there and have it playing in the background. It's that easy. So after I create the movie, you're going to see this timeline. This is all, and if you do a lot of video, you're used to this happening. You got a timeline that shows all your pictures. This is the transition between pictures. I got all of it. If I scroll across, you can scroll across to see all the pictures that you put in that movie. And really, that's the simplest. Now, there's other things you can do. You can add little titles on the things, all kinds of cool things that we're not going to do today. I think that's for a more advanced class later. But you can do that. You can do some voiceovers, so you can record some voice using the microphone, etc. But that's how you make the video. Now, before I do a demo, any questions on that? We can do this live. Yes, Bill?
Rick, do you find that if you vary the exposure time for the photographs, that it makes a more engaging video? If they're all the same amount of time,
Yes. You can, I'm going to walk in front of the thing in a minute. You can play with different things to make a more interesting video. And that's a personal taste thing and, you know, what you think people are going to be engaged by. You can also add effects. There's effects you can add. By default, it's going to add effects. So use the Ken Burn effect by default on these clips. So when you make this, they all have the Ken Burns effect applied to every video, every picture in there. So they're gonna do that motion thing, you know, it's really cool looking. They're all gonna do that, and you can change that. You can go in at the bottom of the screen, and when you click on a particular frame, click this picture, down at the bottom there'll be a little thing, Ken Burns. You could click that button and change it. So you can say start at a different spot, move to a different spot. You could do things like that. That's the stuff I think is the most engagement. But you can also edit the picture. And if you go back into photos, you can edit the picture to change the exposure, change the saturation levels, change how much highlight you have, all the typical things that a photographer would do, because you're all photographers if you have an iPhone. So you can make all those things happen, and then bring the picture in, get all the effects you want. And I think that is something you just play with, so you find something that works for you. I think it's very personal, and everybody's going to have different opinions.
How crazy do you get with your transitions? I did one where I basically used every transition they had, and I think people were ready to throw beer bottles at me.
So this is a really good question that I struggle with a lot. I use a program called LumaFusion to make videos all the time. And if I have time, I'll pull one up and show it to you. But I play with transitions a lot, and I think I overdo it. You have to be very careful because you can overdo that. It's kind of like if you're making a big presentation, a keynote presentation, you start adding all kinds of transition effects, people get tired of that stuff because it adds no value to the presentation. They just want to see the presentation and move on. So I think you have to be very careful. And then you can do the same thing with video. You can make all kinds of transitions, but it's growing, it's shrinking, it's sliding. The last one I made the other day, I used more transitions, and afterwards I thought I used too many transitions. So you'll probably find yourself asking that question. Yes?
At the end, can you tell us how you then put it on the television screen?
Yeah, I will. I'll tell you how to do that. I'll tell you how I do it.
Okay.
Hey, was there another question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a video, can you isolate an individual frame and save it as a still picture you could? And would the resolution be?
The resolution, you could, there's a few ways to do that. I'm going to tell you the cheap and dirty way, and then I'll tell you what's something else. Notice that I picked this picture right here. Is what you're seeing right now, I think. Actually, it's not that one. It's one that's somewhere else in there. It's up here on the screen. You could do a screenshot of that and be in your thing. So you would get a pretty good resolution of that. It's just still going to be a little funny because so that's one way to do it. I don't think inside, do you know if in iMovie you can take a clip and save it as a video, save it out, just a single picture?
Yeah, there's ways to do it. I don't recall. I haven't used iMovie in a while.
I'll have to get back to you, Ray, next month to tell you how you do it exactly. In LumaFusion you can do it. I just don't use iMovie enough to tell you how to do that process.
There are times when you'd love to be able, as a
Out of
still
video.
image, to isolate one particular.
Yeah, LumaFusion has a very specific tool that you can take a picture and then there's a button at the bottom, you just click it, and it exports it to your photo library. I just don't remember how you do it in iMovie. I have to look. We'll look at that. Other questions? Okay, I'm going to use my wife's iPad and pull up iMovie on there because it's more mobile and I can walk around while I'm doing it. iMovie, I like iMovie for the iPad more than I do for the iPhone. I find it hard to use on the iPhone personally. I don't know if anybody else has tried it, has a different opinion, but. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, it looks like she's never used iMovie before. All right. So first time in, you're going to get this welcoming screen. We're going to say continue. So we're going to create a project. Again, I'm going to make a real simple project, and I'll show you a few other things. I'm going to make a movie. So I select movie. Here's some pictures she has in her library. There's some interesting pictures here. I'll just use them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can tell we were hiking the same place the other day. And I clicked create movie. Whoops, I created a bunch of pictures. I didn't want to do that. I hit the select button at the wrong time. All right. So it's making the movie out of my pictures. And I'm only using pictures, no movies here. Now notice at the bottom I've got all those pictures are in here. They're all the same length. Now if I wanted this picture right here to take up more time, I can go in and tap it and edit it. Notice I've got Ken Burns is enabled. I can pinch to start to set the position to the start, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it longer because I want this one to be longer, so I just drag this out. So I'm making that one longer because I want more of that picture. This picture here, I really like it too. I'll make it shorter though. I'm not going to be fair to the great blue heron. Okay? So now, so far I've shortened one, I've changed another one. Now I can click on the transition. If I click on the two little arrows pointing at each other, that's the transition. That's the transition from one picture to the other. When I click on that, at the bottom, I get some options. I can change what that transition looks like. I'm going to make it, right now it's set to be the dissolve. I'm going to make it slide to the right. So I just hit the slide. And then I'll go to the next one. You get the idea? You just pick the picture or pick the transition, do your edits.
Where's the slide or the?
Which the transition?
At the bottom. Oh,
It's at the bottom, down at the bottom.
okay.
Down at the bottom it tells you how long the transition is. It's a 1 second transition.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Let me point at it. Right now this transition is a 1 second transition.
I see.
It's using the dissolve effect.
Okay.
I can see the slide effect.
I see.
That's where you change it.
Okay.
All right? You good so far?
Yes.
So you can modify those, and to Bill's point, you can really carry it away with this. I wouldn't do that, but you can. And I've done it before, so to be honest, it's a habit. Then when you're done, you just click the done button, but what we're going to do is we're going to play it. So we're going to go back to the beginning. Hit play. So now we got a few pictures. They're pretty long. There's no music or anything yet. There was a slide that I changed to a slide from a dissolve transition. But you get some Ken Burns. You can play with the Ken Burns thing, have fun with that. It's actually quite nice that you can modify the Ken Burns. So it's a 40-second video so far, 39.5-second video. So you get the idea? Now you can do some other things in here that, if we wanted to, we could go on the bird, we could add a title. So down at the bottom, we're looking at the bottom again, we can add filters, so we can filter the picture and make it look a little different. We could also click the title button, and we can add titles. So now I got a title in the middle of the screen. I can go in and edit the title. I'm going to change the title to say Great Blue Heron. And then I'm going to drag it. How you're supposed to drag it. My finger's not working right now. You get the idea, but you're supposed to be able to drag that up, but it's not letting you. But you put in your titles wherever you want them. And now I got a title. You can also go to albums, video, media, audio. I go to audio, and I got theme music. So I've selected audio, theme music, bright. So I added some music to it. So now what I've got is a video with music. Pick whatever music you want to pitch your picture. This music don't work for me at all, but it's there. You get the idea. So that's how you make a video.
Yay.
Now when you're all done, and you're back to this screen, you can change the title by clicking on the title. So you can give it a name, and then if you hit the little up arrow down there at the bottom, then you can save it out as a video also. So you'll have to render it and then save it as a video. All right? Is that helpful?
Yeah.
All right.
Very good.
Excellent.
All give us all your phone number and anything
And
else.
the last slide,
Constantly call
the
you.
last slide, you can email me or text me or whatever.
Okay.
It's easier than calling me, by the way, but if you go to the last slide, you'll get it to the thing. It's got my name, and email address, and phone number in it. So when you get this today, we're going to send it out. If you have a problem, drop me a note. I'll try to answer it the best I can. I did want to mention, these are our third-party apps that are really good for video, but they're not free. So prepare your wallet if you go look for these. They vary in price. LumaFusion is the one I use for all my video work. It's $20. Filmic Pro, I think it's $5. Adobe Rush is a brand new app. It's free if you have Creative Cloud, but you got to pay for Creative Cloud if you want to do anything serious. And I really don't like it that well. It's Adobe though, so you have to take the good and the bad together. And Final Cut, of course, is a Mac app, which is very expensive, but it's beautiful. And so that's kind of some other apps that I've used.
TV?
Oh, the TV. What I do is I AirPlay it to my television through Apple TV. So I just set up the iPad or the Mac and AirPlay it right to my television because I've got the Apple TV.
Got to have a smart TV for that.
No, any TV that will connect to your Apple TV will work. So if you have an Apple TV, you can pop these up. If you email me, I can send you a link. But you have to do it. But you just AirPlay it right to your Apple TV, just like you would AirPlay it to another person in the house.
Okay.
So it's really easy. So you have something else?
Yeah, you can interchange.
Oh, nice.
One can get into trouble. This is on Facebook, so I thought I'd show it to you. And there we have the UFO with you ascending.
I like those too. By the way, if you have a iPhone 10 or 10s, you can add some really cool stuff behind you. So like I've got pictures of me standing inside of a Starship and just all kinds of weird things because it does that 3D depth thing. Enjoy. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Take some video. I'd love to see it. So tell me about your video next month because I want to see your video. And hopefully you take a whole bunch of video and I'll be really excited to see that. Or maybe
Rick, can I
Just
mention
one
something?
thing. It is so easy to post those clips to Facebook.
be careful.
I mean, really easy to do it. Think before you share. Let's be careful out there.
Yeah.